Hello, my friends. How are you all doing today? I hope it's been a great week for you all. I am here once again with a brand new episode of Realm News. I'm the host of this fine show, The Dark Lord. The one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. Today, we have a very obscure episode for you. Yes, that might not be a shock anymore in this almost 2-year, yes it is, over 2-year podcast. Isn't that crazy? Today, yes, obscure, but maybe perhaps a Realm News norm by now. I am bringing to you an item in Minecraft that is forgotten by many players, including myself at times, and that's the rabbit's foot. Yes, as it turns out, rabbit's feet or foot, or the rabbit's foot, feet, whatever you want to call it, is steeped in tradition and lore. And today, I would like to shed some light on those myths, such as why does carrying a rabbit's foot with you bring good luck? What other appendages bring mystical powers to the possessor besides rabbit feet? You'll find out in today's episode in what I dub the real portion of the show, all of that. After the real, we will transcend into the realm where I will give you a complete breakdown of the Minecraft rabbit foot in the game, its uses, where you can find them, and much, much more. This all comes after our beloved poll time. So, let's wait no more and start the show. It's poll time! Welcome to poll time, my friends. I am here today with a novel question. Do you collect rabbit feet? Yes, perhaps it's a bit obscure, but it's a legit question that I can assure you is worth asking. Just wait for the day when I ask you if you collect heads. Yes, that's an actual Minecraft game feature as well. However, that's neither here nor there today. Along with that question, I added this to the poll. Quote, I have an obscure question for you. Do you collect rabbit feet? They are used for a couple of potions and now to tame and heal the camel husk. I, for one, do not have a rabbit farm, and I haven't been collecting these. Let me know if you do or don't. End quote. And by the way, folks, I made this poll prior to the official release to Mounts Mayhem, which came out December 9th of 2025. So, some of the responses here sound a little dated. Some people in the comments were saying, I don't think you can tame the camel husk. They believe that it was like a skeleton horse that you could just jump on it and ride it. But according to the wikis, you do have to tame these. I just want to throw that out there for clarification. Anyways, I just want to jump right into this. We had a total of 96 total votes on this. This makes the Dark Lord very happy. And the results were intriguing, but not too shocking, honestly. Let's dive right into it, shall we? I present 3 options for the people. 1, I collect them. 2, I don't collect them. 3, I pick up random ones. Très simple. The loser of this poll, with 17 out of the 96 votes, is the I collect them group. The people who intentionally go out of their way to collect rabbit feet. This makes up 17.7% of the sample or players who voted according to this poll. That's very intriguing to me. The next group that had the second most votes is the I don't collect them group. They earned 24 votes out of the 96, which is exactly 1/4 of the poll, or 25% of the votes. The winner, who is the I pick up random ones, earned 55 votes, or little over half, with 57.2% of the pie. Very intriguing. I will have to do a follow-up poll in a few months and just see if those numbers fluctuate since the camel husk has officially dropped into the game. My hypothesis is that the I collect them group percentage will increase dramatically. There we have, folks. 57.2% of people just pick up rabbit feet the good old-fashioned quote-unquote windfall method, if you will. 25% intentionally don't collect them or care for them, and 17.7% actively collect them. I would like to now hear from the people in the form of comments left under the poll. Big into science says, quote, collect? No. Pick up if I trip over one? Yes. End quote. That's a fine example of the windfall method, or just collecting them willy-nilly as you see them or on your journey playing the game. That's how I do it too. That's how I find them. I don't go on my way to collect them. I've just managed to accidentally pick them up on my way, just playing in the course of 3 years in my forever world. Thank you for that comment, my friend. Next, I have someone who goes by INDVS3, who says, quote, with great difficulty and effort, end quote. Yes, folks, they raise a great point. Rabbits are fast and somewhat nimble creatures that are hard to kill with a melee weapon in an open field, I should say. I would recommend a bow and arrow or crossbow. Use that to end their little life if you're collecting them. Thank you, INDVS3, for pointing out the difficulty of getting a rabbit's foot. It could be a bit tricky to kill them. That, my friends, is all the comments I have for today. I know. People were not too vocal about today's topic, but that's okay. The ebb and flow of poll time is what it is. Now, let's make our transition into the reel of the show, my friends, where we will take a real-world peek into the rabbit's foot to better understand it. Welcome to the real portion of the show, where I connect the real-world aspects to the topic I choose from Minecraft. As you know, today we are shining the light on the rabbit's foot. Well, as one would guess, this is steeped in history and lore. If you're like me, then you have probably seen a rabbit's foot on a keychain, albeit it was more than likely a synthetic rabbit's foot, but you get what I'm talking about, right? Well, have you ever wondered why people make and sell those things? It is kind of weird that the appendage of a dead animal or the representation of one is meant to be lucky when carried on you and bad luck if lost. Have you ever asked yourself, why? Well, like most things in life, the lucky rabbit's foot has a complex yet fascinating history. But from what I have read, it appears to have its origins from a few different places on Earth. Its association with luck has a rich history that I will do my best to sum up. A myriad of cultures from around the world have associated the rabbit with luck and with the moon, of all things. The rabbit's long-standing association with being lucky, fertile, and prosperous really depends on the culture and how it views or viewed the rabbit. I found one interesting tradition that may or may not be associated with the rabbit's foot. I personally think this may be separate. An interesting article found at history.com titled, "Why Do People Say Rabbit, Rabbit at the Start of Each Month?" I want to ask you, the audience, have you ever heard of the tradition of saying rabbit, rabbit at the beginning of every month as the first thing that you say? If you haven't, well, you are not alone. I have never heard of this superstition either, but apparently it's a thing. It's said that if you utter the phrase, rabbit, rabbit, as the first thing you say on the first day of every month, some people even say the first thing you do when you wake up on the first day at the beginning of every month, it will bring you good luck for the rest of that month. Apparently, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a former president of the United States, besides carrying a rabbit's foot for good luck on himself, would also say rabbits at the beginning of the month. In fact, in 1935, the British Nottingham Evening Post published these words, quote, "Mr. Roosevelt, the President of the United States, has confessed to a friend that he says rabbits on the first of every month. And what is more, he would not think of omitting the utterance on any account," end quote. Gosh, We have the most unusual presidents in my country. Supposedly, the earliest recording of this phrase is in a 1909 journal called Notes and Queries, where a parent pointed out that some children would say rabbits at the beginning of every month for good luck. There's no indication of where or why this started to happen, where this phenomena came from. However, it continues to this day. Famous actress known for her role as Carrie on Sex and the City and who has played many other roles, Sarah Jessica Parker, has been saying the phrase rabbit rabbit for decades and has been posting it on Instagram for years, according to ca.style.yahoo.com. It may be because rabbits have been historically linked with good luck and cure-alls. L.A. Hilden's blog found on Goodreads titled, "Why is Rabbit's Foot Lucky?" goes on to explain that the rabbit's foot may have found its lucky origins back with the Celts around the year 600 BCE. Apparently, the Celts considered the rabbit as a fertility god and associated it with the return of spring each year, the regrowth of the leaves, flowers, and foliage. And since they lived underground, the rabbit's foot was considered to be a protective amulet against evil spirits. Women in that time period who were trying to have children would also wear this as a fertility amulet. 16th century Englishman named Reginald Scott wrote this in his book called The Discovery of Witchcraft in 1584. Quote, "The bone also in a hare's foot mitigateth the cramp, as none other bone nor part else of the hare doth." End quote. Good to know, Mr. Scott. Not only did Reginald Scott write this amazing book on witchcraft, but according to DailySabah.com's article titled "Superstitions Busted, Rabbit's Foot as Lucky Charm," written by Marak Tapan, says, quote, "Reginald Scott was a member of the British Parliament who carried a rabbit's foot around to bring him good luck in the 16th century." End quote. Apparently, Reginald Scott was just really into rabbits. I'm wanting to transition from Mr. Scott to an intriguing, horrifying, and mystical concept that is in, well, the same category as the rabbit foot when it comes to macabre origins, where amputated limbs are used as talismans. My next subject is the main de gloire, or as you, my fellow Anglophones, may know it as the Hand of Glory.
Yes, the Hand of Glory is a piece of folklore that is a bit disturbing. It involves the amputation of a dead man's hand.
It was used by thieves and criminals alike as a way to get away with crimes. So, if you're not comfortable listening to hands getting removed from corpses, then you may want to skip this portion and go to the realm section of the show that proceeds after this. For those interested in Le Main de Gloire, allow me to tell you a bit of history before diving right in. A great article found at atlasobscura.com titled Hand of Glory, The Macabre Magic of Severed Hands, written by Dolly Stoltz, goes on to say, quote, "The pain of the amputation and the shame of the permanent mark served as punishment for the criminal, while the display of the severed limb functioned as a sinister warning to all onlookers. Follow in this guy's footsteps and you will suffer a similar fate." End quote. This early display of law or social justice stems from the Code of Hammurabi, which are ancient laws created in 1772 BCE, or 3,796 years ago. We are talking about some of the earliest laws known to humanity, folks. Eye for an eye. This is where that term derives from. They are a set of 282 Babylonian codes of law that were created in what we know as modern-day Iraq, but was once Mesopotamia. As the centuries crept on, so did the ancient laws. They were copied and translated and reformatted all across the known world at the time. However, The amputation of the arm or hand of criminals was carried over into medieval Europe, where they took on the taboo custom of being put out on display to prevent future criminal activity. I guess having a hand nailed to your door or in a bar would likely send a message to criminals who may be in that vicinity. I know that I would be a little extra cautious if I were a criminal and saw a hand nailed to a post. Such as the 684-year-old English pub called the Haunch of Venison in Wiltshire, England, that had become famous for having on display the hand of a card cheat. The gambler was caught cheating in a game called Whist, which is a card game, and a butcher cut his hand off and threw it into that fireplace within the pub, where it had remained until a renovation crew had rediscovered it in 1911, where it was then put in a glass case with a deck of playing cards. I love that they did that. I love just the poetic justice of it all. Unfortunately, in 2010, some thieves stole the hand, and it has never been returned. However, amputated hands didn't always serve as a measure of preventing criminal activity, but rather as an aid in doing so. This brings me to another article that I discovered titled Hand of Glory, the dark secret of the severed hand at Whitby Museum, found at whitbyguide.co.uk. This article explains what kind of hand you want to make a hand of glory from. To create a hand of glory, you would have to first find a hanging murderer's corpse that was often on display during this medieval time period, apparently. Or they make it sound like it's a rather common thing to find around this period of time, almost like going to a grocery store. Once you have found your dead, hanging murderer, and you want him to be hung, because this indicates he was tried and found guilty, which is what you want. You want a guilty dead person, which, sure, I'm sure they had fair justice back then, but you get the picture. And you would then proceed to cut off his right hand after you found the appropriate hanging corpse. Cut off the right hand, because you assume that they're right-handed. The next step is to make this hand into a proper candle or candle holder so you can, do some thieving, which I want to get into right now. Actually, I'll tell you how to do that. But first, let's talk about why. Now, some people would make the hand into a candle itself, or you can make it into a candle holder, like I said. Each finger would indicate a person in the household that your targeted household. Like each finger would indicate how many people were in that house. Just to throw it out there, just bluntly. It would indicate the number of people residing in that said house. Thieves in this era were particularly drawn to the hand of glory because thievery was punishable by death. Consequently, the more severe the penalty, the more drastic the act required to evade capture. There's 4 main theories to the magic behind the hand of glory that gives reason to why thieves would want to use it. Let me read them off real quick. First and most common is that the hand could put to sleep anyone that was awake in the house and render them in a coma-like state until the flames were extinguished. The hand could give light to only the holder. Number 2 here. The hand could give light to only the holder, casting all others into darkness, akin to the holder becoming invisible. About the same thing. Number 3, any lock could be opened in and around the vicinity where the hand was lit. Number 4, the hand of glory could burn forever without perishing. Isn't that crazy? Can we get this into Minecraft, please? No, seriously, people back then really thought that this had some real significant power. It would be amazing to be able to pick locks with ease or become invisible in a shroud of darkness. Sounds like a really useful item for a thief. Allow me to quote what is found in this source, which is a portion of a grimoire, or a textbook on magic that teaches you how to create talismans, amulets, and other magic. This grimoire is titled Secrets Merveilleux de la Magie Naturelle Cabalistique du Petit Albert. Here is the recipe according to the grimoire, written by Albertus Parvis Lucius. Quote, which was translated into French, hence the French title. Anyways, quote, take the right or left hand of a felon who is hanging from a gibbet beside a highway. wrap it in part of a funeral pall, and so wrapped, squeeze it well. Then put it into an earthenware vessel with zimmet, nitra, salt, and long peppers, the whole well powdered. Leave it in the vessel for a fortnight. Then take it out and expose it to full sunlight during the dog days until it becomes quite dry. If the sun is not strong enough, put it in an oven with fern and vervain. Next, make a kind of candle from the fat of a gibbeted felon, virgin wax, sesame, and pony, and use the hand of glory as a candlestick to hold this candle when lighted, and then those in every place into which you go with this baneful instrument shall remain motionless. End quote. Yeah, they're motionless because they see a person carrying around a severed hand that has been dried out and processed into a candle holder or into a candle. I would probably freeze too before running, screaming. But I think you'll get the picture now. This hand of glory was used by criminals in order to carry out successful burglaries and crimes. So now we know just a wee bit about the rabbit's foot origins and this other talisman called the Hand of Glory, or Le Main de Gloire. From the Code of Hammurabi to the criminals making severed hands into candles all the way up into the mid-19th century. Yes, folks, that's how far into time or how recent this was used. Mid-19th century, that's mid-18, like around 1850. That's crazy. Think cowboy and Indians in the United States. That was going on. Anyways, just to go on here, from severed hands into candles into the mid-19th century, from means to prevent crime to helping with its success. The dichotomy is just fascinating, and the folklore behind it. There are many other examples of hands or arms being found in ancient structures throughout Europe, but I'll save those stories for another time. With that said, I'd like to leave this portion of the real and enter into the realm, where we will discover our own talisman in Minecraft, the rabbit's foot. According to Minecraft.wiki, the rabbit's foot is, quote, a brewing item obtained from rabbits, end quote. Well, that's about as basic of a definition as it gets. Yes, this is true. The rabbit's foot's main function in the game is for brewing, or that's what people would probably deem it for. In fact, you could brew 2 potions using this, the mundane potion and potion of leaping, which then can be used to craft other additional potions. The mundane potion can be used in Bedrock Edition to brew potions of weakness, then made with a bottle of water and a rabbit's foot. The other, the potion of leaping, is what it exactly sounds like. It helps you jump higher, which is pretty cool if you ask me. If you're interested in making this, then you need to mix a rabbit's foot with an awkward potion. So, I hope you found some netherwort, because I've yet to find any myself. But if you have this, you can make the potion of leaping, and this will increase your jump's height to 1.83 blocks and reduce your fall damage by 1 block for 3 whole minutes. Which, 3 minutes is a good amount of time, folks. You can extend this up to 8 minutes, which is crazy. That's almost a full Minecraft day. This could be achieved by adding redstone to your potion of leaping at the brewing stand. Potion of Leaping level 2, which is adding glowstone to the Potion of Leaping, will further increase your jump height to 2.51 blocks and reduce fall damage by 2 blocks. Then there is the Splash Potion of Leaping if you're into shattering your bottles in order to achieve the effects. And then the Lingering Potion of Leaping, which requires the expensive Dragon's Breath. Also, I can't forget to mention that the Potion of Slowness and the Extended Potion of Slowness require the Potion of Leaping in order to craft those as well. So, there are a few different potions you can make with amplified effects if so desired. As I just mentioned, I have personally not been able to find netherwort, so I am rather limited to my motion making abilities at the moment. Perhaps when I do find it, I will become a brewing machine and start using rabbit's feet for making Potion of Leaping. I think it would be very beneficial being able to jump a little higher and further. Makes it handy for exploring the overworld because we all know how sporadic crevices and holes randomly occur on our excursions or travels. It's easy to fall into things. It would help to jump out or jump over. Now that we have a good understanding of what potions the rabbit's foot can be used to create, I would like to explore some of its other uses that are not mentioned. Decor. The rabbit's foot is great for a decorative piece. The rabbit's foot can be placed in an item frame so it can be admired on a wall like a true piece of art. I have not personally done this, but I think I'm going to do that after I get done recording this episode. Throw it in one of my palaces or actually in my museum. I think it just adds a bit of flair, curiosity, and mystique to a room. It is definitely a focal point that will create discussion with whomever sees it. It may also bring good luck to your home or whatever structure you're going to have it in. Or that's what you could say to people. Or call it the Pat de Gloire. Now, besides them being a display item in your natural history museum, you can also use a rabbit's foot to earn a little overworld green, meaning moolah or emeralds, my friends. If you have a journeyman level cleric, then you are in store to earn some emeralds for a relatively cheap price. They will buy 2 rabbit feet for 1 emerald. I do not think this is a bad price. No, not at all. In fact, I think this is quite fair in comparison to some other sales I go on with other tradesmen. If you build an adequate rabbit farm, then you should have an ample supply of rabbit feet to trade with. This could be a lucrative business for you or just another way to earn that green. Besides earning a little income, there is another use to the rabbit's foot that is brand new thanks to Mounts of Mayhem. So far, I've told you that the rabbit's foot is a great item for potion brewing, decor, earning emeralds, and also for taming and leading camel husks. Yes, we can tame these fantastical beasts of rotting, heaving flesh and ride them out on the open deserts and other terrains that embody the overworld. Go check out Realm News 247365 Twitch account and watch me get annihilated by a camel husk carrying the horrifying duo, the Parch and Husk wielding a spear jockeys. You will get a laugh out of my demise. However, I am glad to know that the rabbit's foot can be used in these ways. I remember last year, after bundles were announced on September 28th, 2024, that I was a bit bummed out that the rabbit did not get the additional use that it deserved. At first, the developers at Mojang wanted to make the bundle crafting recipe using rabbit hide as opposed to regular cow leather. That did not stick, and they decided to go with a simple, economically friendly 1 string and 1 piece of raw hide leather from a cow to produce the bundle. You can't complain about economically friendly items, though. But the rabbit, up until this point in time, had become more of a background mob filling desolate biomes, such as the snowy biomes, deserts, and badlands. The deserts and badlands received much attention in 2025 with the Spring to Life drop, but the rabbits were left forgotten. That has now changed a bit with the camel husk coming into existence with Mounts of Mayhem released on December 9th, 2025. Let's call this Minecraft mob mutualism. There. That is now an official Minecraft term crafted by yours truly, the Dark Lord, at Realm News. Let's put that into the Minecraft ecological terms and definitions book, shall we? So, the term may seem contradictory because a rabbit must die in order for it to be used with the camel, mutualistically with the camel husk. But to me, this is part of the Minecraft mob mutualism in the video game world. The rabbit is in fact gaining more attention now because of the camel husk's existence. I believe people will start using rabbits not only for their feet, but also because of their aesthetic appeal in themselves. This will shed light on the rabbit and help it thrive more in the game. It will get more use from its feet, and indirectly, I believe people will start collecting rabbits. I look forward to taming a camel husk with a rabbit foot one day, and to make one follow me with it. It will be amazing. Additionally, this will also indirectly make foxes more important, for they carry rabbit feet as well, or they have a chance to. I would like to now tell you all the places you can acquire rabbit feet. Finding a rabbit's foot should be relatively easy for you. The rabbit is quite abundant in the overworld and can be found in these locations according to Minecraft.wiki. The desert, snowy plains, ice spikes, groves, snowy slopes, cherry grove, meadow, flower forest, old growth pine taiga, old growth spruce taiga, taiga in general, snowy taiga, frozen river, frozen ocean, jagged peaks, snowy beach, deep frozen ocean, frozen peaks. All those biomes, you can find those little critters darting to and fro. I tell you this because once you find a rabbit and kill it, it has a 10% chance of dropping a rabbit's foot. Your chances are far greater if you manage to kill a husk out in the desert, though. They have a 50% chance of dropping between, 0 to 2 rabbit feet, which is better than 0 to 1. Far greater than the rabbit itself, which is just funny to me. Also, you can get rabbit's feet from a cat. I tend to forget all about the cat in Minecraft. I need to make an episode over them one day. But yes, a tame cat has a chance of bringing you a rabbit's foot just as a little present. It's quite funny how they mock real life cats. You know how they bring dead rats and little rodents to your doorstep. I love the realism. Anyways, let me quote this from Minecraft.wiki. Quote, a tame cat has a 70% chance of giving the player a gift when the player wakes up from a bed, and the gift has a 16.13% chance to be a rabbit's foot, totaling to a cumulative percentage of 11.291% every time the player wakes up, end quote. I think that's amazing. So get a tame cat, people, or a few of them. 11.291 is a little better than the rabbit alone with its 10% chance of dropping a foot. I'd like to end the show there with that interesting statistic. The lesson is to domesticate a cat. With that said, that concludes that I have over everything about the rabbit's foot in Minecraft today, my friends, or that's all I have to report on over it. The rabbit's foot is one of those things that is steeped in folklore and culture, enriched by millennia of storytelling, and adding myth to this rather taboo talisman. I was utterly intrigued by the histories behind the rabbit's foot in the real world, how its origin story is as mysterious as the magic behind it. And its possible Celtic origins, I have also read that there's African folklore involved as well, tied with also American African folklore. So, very intriguing. I could have probably made this into a 2-hour episode. It could also have traces to the Hammurabi Code from over 3,000 years ago, morphing over the millennia into a myriad of folklore traditions, down to what we know it as today in the Western world as a lucky talisman. Now they are made synthetically out of polymers, but the superstition remains the same. We all crave good fortune. Even if that is robbing a house, you want success in that. The man de Gloire is another example of humans trying to find a way to get away with something they shouldn't be doing. But crimes are usually committed in times of strife. And when medieval justice meant execution when it came to burglary as a crime, then I suppose you too would resort to deranged superstitions such as removing hanging murderers' right hands and making candles from them to help aid in burglary. I hope that to be all utterly fascinating and insane, but I hope you got some enjoyment out of it too, even if it was rather vulgar of a story. That is all I have for you today. I wish you all a great rest of your day, week, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Realm News. Happy crafting.
The Dark Lord.
Signing out. Hey, Realm News fans, it's your host,
The Dark Lord.
the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am here to tell you that your support means everything. Spread the word by telling friends, liking, and commenting on Spotify or Good Pods. Find me on X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or via email at bio.link/realm news. For more content, join my Patreon at the Copper tier for early episodes, bonus content, and newsletters. Find out more at bio.link/realm news. No pressure though. Just keep listening, liking, and sharing. That's more than enough. Happy crafting, and see you at the next Realm News.